Terry and I came into government's responsibilities about the same time as Master. I was made president effective in July 1st, 1980. He was already, I think, on the Students' Representative Assembly as an engineering faculty student representative. There is something in the Faculty of Engineering at McMaster, I think. I don't really know other faculties of engineering, the one at the University of Toronto a little bit, but I think there's a greater social and political awareness, certainly in quite a few of the faculty, and I think for a number of students, and there's actually a degree program, as you may know, in engineering and society, where they not only consider their engineering discipline, mechanical or civil or electrical or whatever, but it in the context of a society, an economy, a set of laws, and the social context. Terry's a true product of it. The fact that Terry published himself at first shows not only that he had the ability to write and do a book, but also to get some attention for it. And then it clicked with a lot of readers, including myself. And from then on, he's had no trouble finding a publisher. He's lucky to have the publisher of Canadian literature. McLellan and Stewart have published an enormous number of the important writers in this country.
Terry was raised as an engineer at McMaster, and you can see that in how organized he is as a writer. He plans and plots his works very carefully so that when it comes time to actually get down and write, he already knows what is going to be in chapter 12 and chapter 13 and so on. And it's rare to see that sort of discipline and planning in any author. So that's one. And the second is he works really, really hard at the second part of the author's life, which is promoting it. And he is absolutely the arch promoter. And he's superb at that. He enjoys it. And people say, will you come to our book club? Will you come to this or that? And he says, yes, absolutely. He's a very practiced and hard practicing writer. And it's no accident that in my book, I've just brought out the paperback, and I've included a new chapter on an author named Terry Follis. And he's in there alongside the other authors I've worked with, like Hugh McLennan, Morley Callahan, W.O. Mitchell, Alistair MacLeod, Alice Munro, because he's reached that level of being a really serious, major Canadian writer.
He epitomizes what a liberal degree is, in the sense that he's creative, he writes, he makes things with his mind. He's curious, and then when he puts it together, people understand and relate to what he does. So it's the essence of that creativity. If you look at the great novel, what the great novelists do is they describe the human condition. And the human condition is systematic, right? It's part of a system. And what a great novelist does, really, is look at the constituent parts of what the human condition is. It's a range of emotions, it's interactions with one's environment, it's helplessness, it is taking command of your own destiny. And so I think that Terry, in a sense, epitomizes that systems thought through his creativity and by the application of these principles to literature. But he's a role model, which is why he's getting the award. So when we recognize someone, we recognize them not only for their accomplishments, but we recognize them very thoughtfully as an example of best practice. That people can look up to this person, they can get inspiration. What we want are individuals who are inspired. So engineering should not be seen as a safe degree into a profession, but it should also be seen as an inspirational degree. That is, that if a person is able to become an engineer with that degree, they will be inspired to think as an engaged scholar citizen who has the ability to transform the world.
Well, I'd grown up being fascinated by how things work, and I had built engines, and I had designed and built 3 full-sized hang gliders and a hovercraft that all seemed to point towards engineering. In fact, I remember asking my mother halfway through building this hovercraft we were working on when I was 15. I said, what kind of job does someone have if they design and build hovercrafts? And my mother said, well, I think that would be an engineer. And to my narrow worldview at the time, I thought engineers drove trains. I was not aware that there was a whole career path called engineering. But I very enthusiastically pursued it and came to McMaster in 1978 and threw myself into engineering. Engineering has really governed almost everything that I have done in my life. How I think, how I approach issues, how I write my novels. I think engineering is at the root of it all, and I have McMaster to thank for that. If you'd told me when I was studying engineering here at McMaster that 30 years later I would be winning Canada Reads, I would have thought you ought to check your medication, because it was certainly not on my radar screen back then. I do think it's very brave for the Faculty of Engineering to award a non-practicing engineer, an engineer who has never actually practiced a day of engineering in his life in the formal sense, this auspicious award, for which I'm very grateful and honored and humbled. But I certainly have not taken the path that most engineers would, although I am really heartened by how progressive and enlightened McMaster Engineering seems to be about other parts of life and the engineering in society programs that have broadened beyond what used to be a very narrow curriculum. Now I think speaks to the reality that engineers have to function in a broader context, and that they will do better at their job if they are aware of what's going on around them, if they have a broader perspective on life and on society. I think that is a very positive development that not all engineering schools have moved towards with the same enthusiasm as McMaster has. So I commend them.